Hi Diz fam, welcome back to my channel, Diz Diva's Magical Adventures. My name is Laura. Thanks so much for stopping by today. So for today's video, I really wanted to talk about my experience going to Disney during COVID. I know there's a lot of families or couples or people who just want to take solo trips out there that aren't really sure what to do. Is the experience worth it right now, or should you move your trip? That's always the biggest question right now. So I promise to be honest and just give you my full opinion about my experience. So we had gone in August 2020, right, basically 3 weeks after the park reopened. And then we went in November, so during Thanksgiving. So two very different experiences in my opinion. And I feel like as time goes on, there's always going to be changes within Disney. So for our first experience, so not only were we planning a Disney trip, but we were getting married at Disney. So we were getting married at Disney Springs and basically had to kibosh our plans, switch them around, move it to August. It was a big just mess. But what we decided to do is we kind of had to change our resort. We were originally going to stay at Poly, and then they were closing a lot of rooms over there. And we just didn't think that it was worth it for the money, to be 100% honest with you. Poly is one that I'll probably stay at once it gets back to normal a little bit. But we decided to stay at Wilderness Lodge in the Copper Creek area, which Wilderness Lodge is one of my favorite resorts. It's just so quiet and peaceful and beautiful. If you haven't stayed there and you get a chance, definitely do it. But we decided to stay there, but we had a little hiccup in our plans, unfortunately. Our flights kind of got switched around and we basically had to go a day early. There were absolutely no discounts. And so instead of adding a day to Wilderness Lodge, we just decided, hey, let's stay at Pop Century for a night. So just to let you guys know, I stayed in either moderate or deluxe. Values here and there. So it was a really long time since I had stayed in a value. And I was really excited because I saw that all the pop rooms were redone. They looked awesome. I love how modern they are. So I was excited. And plus pop is a really fun atmosphere. But I remember that the walls are super thin and you can hear everything. So we did have a good experience for the most part. All the people were very nice. Guest services was awesome. We were able to find our room. We were able to take, advantage of the shops and the mobile ordering at Pop. But for us, that was something that I almost felt that was going to ruin our experience. And it's not on Pop, I will say that. Pop did a lot of good, but unfortunately, we were just next to someone that there was a lot of yelling going on and it woke us up and we just, we were tired. Long day traveling and it just wasn't fun. So what had happened is the manager had asked us, did you guys have a good experience? We got one of those surveys. So I had told them everything they did right because, Disney does a lot of good and the cast members are amazing. They are amazing and they do a lot of good, and I think it's important for them to hear that they're doing good. So I gave them all my positives and I just said, we had an unfortunate experience, which I know is not on the resort. And I told them what happened, and probably 15 minutes later, we got a call from the manager, and the manager had talked to my husband. But he's like, I'm so sorry. We know this, stuff happens, but we don't want you to have a bad experience. We know you guys are on your honeymoon and you're getting married, and we want to make sure that you have good experience while you're here. So they ended up calling our next resort, and the next morning, I could not believe it. They had our resort room ready at 6:30 in the morning. Normally you gotta wait till 3. That was just crazy. And I know that sometimes you can get in early, but I've never gotten in that early. I was amazed. So in that respect, I was glad that they did something for us, which they didn't have to do, and I did not expect that at all. But yeah, we went to Hollywood Studios that day and we were so tired from the night before that. We decided to check into Wilderness Lodge early. That's where we stayed for basically the rest of our honeymoon. And honestly, that was a big part of the positive experience that we had. So when we arrived at Wilderness Lodge, it was really great. We had one of the guest services people greet us, and they had all our buttons ready. They had this beautiful card in our room for us. They even called up to our room to make sure that, you know, we had everything and asked if we needed anything. And I think at that point I really felt like I was home. Everything was just so peaceful and quiet. And if you've ever stayed at Wilderness Lodge, you probably know what I'm talking about. The ambiance is just beautiful. And it's just a totally different atmosphere, I think, than any of the other resorts, in my opinion. But we had just a great experience. I mean, people were great about telling us where to take the best photos for our wedding and just helping us out when we needed little things. And honestly, the resort experience to me did not feel any different than it normally does. The only thing I would say was different was the dining options at the resorts. Now, I will say, I definitely saw a difference in when I first went to when I went back again in November. But Wilderness, I would say they had almost all their restaurants open except for Artist Point. So I felt like we had a lot of good options. But I know there were some other resorts that there was still stuff closed. So in that regard, I was really glad that we picked what we did. So the next thing besides the resorts what I want to talk about is I want to talk about dining. How was dining during COVID? How was it different? So I'm going to talk about the table service dining as well as mobile ordering. Now, I've never really done a lot of mobile ordering before, and I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed it. So mobile ordering, how it was set up is they wouldn't let you into the restaurant until it was time to grab your order. So a lot of times at Wilderness, we'd be up in the room and we'd create our order. My husband would tap, "I'm here," and then he would go down and get it. And it was super quick. You show them your order or tell them your name, and then they would let you in to go get it. And I found the parks that was just as good too. If we were close to something, do our order real quick, click "I'm here," bada bing, bada boom, you're in. I thought it was great, and I think that it's super easy and convenient. And I would definitely do that even after COVID is done. Like, it's super easy. You can just sit, pick what you want. You don't gotta fight people going in there, which I appreciated. It wasn't as busy, at least when we went, it wasn't as busy in the quick service restaurants. So the dining, for table service dining, this is the thing that we struggled with because we basically had all these great reservations like Ohana's and California Grill that we ended up losing because the park closed. So we had to redo all our dining, and we are people that normally will do one table service a day. Normally dinner, but occasionally we'll do a character breakfast in the morning. So all our plans kind of went out the window. And there's certain ones that we normally do every time that we personally enjoy. So I was like, man, are we going to be able to get those reservations like Be Our Guest and Le Cellier and Wine Bar George? Like, how are we going to do this? So we didn't end up doing dining every night at the table service this time, which honestly was okay. We took advantage of different snack options and trying some different quick service we've never tried before. But we were able to hit a few. And honestly, I think every table service experience we had was really great. The service was great. A lot of people were saying it was slow. We didn't experience that. And being able to just go in a nice, cool restaurant, especially in August when it's super hot, and take your mask off was super nice. Just being able to relax and have your meal. We ate at like Wine Bar George and Be Our Guest and Homecoming, Le Cellier, and all the experiences were good. They bring you out this little like paper menu that you can scan with your phone, and it brings up all the options, which I really loved. I hope they keep that. One, you're not wasting as much paper, and it's nice just to be able to scroll on your phone. You're not touching as many things. And honestly, I loved it. And it was a great. The only thing I would say is the dining options in August, there weren't as many. Because the park just opened 3 weeks ago. You know, there weren't as many options, so we kind of tried a few new things. Wine Bar George was one we've never tried before, and I could not believe how great the food was. We really enjoyed it, and now that's one that we definitely want to do almost every time we go. So I know compared to November, so when we went back in November, the dining was a lot different. I feel like there was more available. However, I will say we stayed at Old Key West one night, and then we stayed at Bay Lake Tower, and there weren't a ton of options at Contempo for dinner. I loved the breakfast options and I love the snack options, but I feel like it was either burgers or chicken for dinner, and I know you kind of get tired of that. So I feel like for our November trip, we snacked a little bit more. We did do the first 2 days we did Boathouse, which I never tried before, and that was great. Service was great. Food was really great. If you haven't tried that, I would definitely try it. And we did Olivia's at Old Key West. Now, we've always done Olivia's for dinner, and it is a hidden gem. Definitely something you gotta try. The food is phenomenal. And the atmosphere of Old Key West is beautiful, and I love all the beach vibes. But we went for breakfast, and it was so good. Definitely something that we're going to have to keep on our list for next time. So if you haven't been over to Old Key West, definitely, if you can and you have time to do it, definitely try Olivia's, either for breakfast or dinner. It's definitely worth it. So another difference that I want to talk about is the hours. Now, the hours were completely different in August compared to November. This was what I was a little afraid about. So when we went in August, the hours were so much shorter. So I'm like, what are we going to do with ourselves at night? So some of the parks were only open till like 6 or 7. I think with the exception of Epcot. I feel like Epcot was 8 or 9. I don't remember. But yeah, like Magic Kingdom closed at 7, and I was like, you know, what do we do? So those nights we would either go to Disney Springs, shop, or go out to eat, or we would stay back at the resort. And honestly, I thought I was going to be bored. Definitely wasn't. It was nice to be able to kind of take in the resort, tour it a little bit, enjoy the scenery, and we swam a lot because it was so hot in August. I remember when we had gotten married, I could not wait to get out of my dress because it was that hot. And I think we went swimming like right after we got married because it was just, we couldn't take the heat. But yeah, actually being able to experience more at the resort or experience more at Disney Springs definitely was not a horrible thing. And honestly, I think it's good for us to slow down. If you're in a family and you know you're going, I think it's even good for you and your kids just to take a nighttime swim, or you know, if you're a couple, go get a drink somewhere, just take in the scenery, take in the memories, just relax. Because really, that's what a vacation is supposed to do, is to help you relax. So I actually enjoyed having more time at the resort or more time at Disney Springs than I thought I would. So in November when we went, the crowds and the times for the parks were totally different. So when I got married, we literally have pictures in Disney Springs with no one in the background. No one. And I will insert one of those pictures right here. But it was just so low key, like you could walk in Magic Kingdom and not bump into anyone. When we went in November, we went for only a few days, but the crowds, I mean, it wasn't horrible, but obviously you definitely noticed the crowds more and the lines were a little bit longer. So we didn't do everything we wanted to do. But back to kind of the relaxing aspect, I felt like not doing as much helped us to slow down a little bit. And one of my favorite memories from that November trip was I got my little Christmas popcorn bucket that they had out. I sat on the hub grass in Magic Kingdom. I took a big just sigh of relief to be relaxing, and I looked up at that castle when it was all lit up and it kept like changing the different scenes on it, and they had the little pop of fireworks, and I think I sat there with my husband for about an hour. It was just relaxing and beautiful, and you know, you don't always get to do that in Disney, and I appreciated being able to slow down both trips. And that might actually be something, if you're a family or a couple or going by yourself, that you might enjoy. Maybe you're someone where the crowds give you anxiety and it's just too much for you. So it might be good to go when there's not as many crowds. And I know that the crowds are coming back a little bit, but it's still at a lower capacity. So I definitely think it's better than what it normally is. So one of the other things about obviously going during COVID is wearing a mask all day. Now, I was super nervous about this because we were going in August, the hottest time of the year. We had to wear masks during our wedding, which we didn't know about that till 2 weeks before because the bride and groom at the venue we had gotten married at said we didn't have to wear them, and then they changed the rule. So I'm like, oh great, now I gotta wear a mask again. But it ended up turning out, I personally, and this is just my opinion, I didn't think the masks were that bad. Now, we made sure to take breaks. We would sit down, grab a snack, or sit down and just take a water break, or maybe we went and got an alcoholic drink and we just kind of sat back and relaxed. It worked for us. I know it doesn't work for everyone, and that's a-okay. But the mask didn't make me more hot, to be honest. Like, I'm naturally a warm person, so I'm always going to be warm. But I didn't feel like my face was hot or my breath was super hot. And I had brought like, I don't know, 6 different masks with me just to see like which one felt the best. And obviously, you know, I found one that worked for me and I was able to breathe and it was fine. November, it was even nicer because it was about in the 70s or low 80s and it wasn't as hot. And I felt like I was able to breathe even better. It's just a matter of taking those breaks and, you know, finding a mask that works best for you. I know it's not for everyone and that's totally okay, but definitely don't be afraid that you have to wear masks all day. I definitely think that it is doable, and obviously it depends on the time of year too. But for me, you know, I brought a little fan with me. I made sure I was drinking water a lot, and I know that some people didn't like that you can't, you know, walk and drink at the same time, but to me that didn't really bother me. I'm someone who's super clumsy, so I'm like dropping water all over myself. So me sitting down and having some water was not a big deal. I could definitely see how it would be a big deal if you're with, you know, little kids, and it just makes, sometimes it can be more of a hassle. I totally understand that. So the next experience that I wanted to talk about was the festivals. So we went during the Hybird, as I'm going to call it, Flower and Garden / Food and Wine. I think that was one of the best things, and it makes me glad that we didn't have a lot of dining reservations. We definitely took advantage of the festivals. Everyone was spaced out. I didn't feel claustrophobic or anything like that. I didn't feel like people were getting up my behind or anything. I feel like most people kind of knew their space and they were being very just respectful about it. I know it might be different now. But both experiences, I didn't feel like I had people crowding me or anything like that. The one thing I will say about my November trip, though, I wish that they would have had started the festival, the holidays, sooner, because that's one thing with Thanksgiving, there were barely any reservations. So trying to find food was a little bit more difficult. So think about that if you're thinking about maybe going at the end of 2021. So I hope that that was informational for you guys. I'm happy to answer any more questions, but I do have an announcement. So I'm going to make a trip announcement. So we are going the beginning of June, and we're actually going to be celebrating our first wedding anniversary and my birthday. So I'm super, super excited about that. We are going to be doing a split stay this time. So we're staying 5 nights at one place and I think 4 nights at the other place. I'm not going to tell you where yet, but I will tell you there are 2 different resort categories. So if you want to guess down below, feel free. And if someone guesses it, then I'll tell you. But we're super excited. I'm really excited to see, what has changed since November. I do know they now have the mask requirement when you do dining, that you have to have it on unless you're actively eating and drinking. So that's going to be a little bit different. But I'm really excited to be able to vlog my trip, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy those videos. I know it's still a few months away, but I think that it's going to go quick. So thanks so much for watching my video today. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any videos. Thanks again, Diz fam. I'll see you next time. Normally, I